Okay, hello guys, DJ Bagpuss here and welcome back to Analysing Arsenal and a very different kind of video that I'm going to do for you guys today on Analysing Arsenal. Now, as you may or may not know, obviously if you've been following football, we are on an international break. There's no football this weekend. Football returns next weekend with the North London derby being Arsenal's next game on November the 18th. So really looking forward to that. But now, as we are into an international break, I thought it was time to kind of discuss something which I've never actually explained to you guys in length. I've kind of touched on it briefly in different videos, but I feel like today we've got some time to reflect and we can really kind of discuss the real reason onto the point of what I want to get to on today's video. And as you can see from the title, you can see that today I'm going to be telling you the reason behind Arsenal's downfall. For two reasons why I'm going to do this. Firstly, because I feel like it will put context on the reason why so many Arsenal fans are frustrated and upset and kind of react the way that we do. And also, it will kind of explain the reason in some of my latest Analysing Arsenal videos to why I react the way that I do. Kind of the first real reason I did this is because we were on the international break and I thought it was going to be kind of an interesting thing to talk about. Also, Living in the Prem is back next week. I already have recorded certain bits for it, but I'm going to be uploading that next week. So stay tuned for that. That is when I kind of just talk about every other Premier League team. But right now, we're going to focus solely on Arsenal. But yeah, I watched back my thoughts and feelings to the Manchester City video where we lost 3-1 at the Etihad. And obviously, anytime you lose a game as a football fan, you're upset, you're annoyed, you're angry, you know, because everyone wants to win every single game. And if you drop points, or if you lose games, you're going to be angry and annoyed. But something in that video kind of made me want to elaborate on the point that I set up, because I said in that video that losing to Manchester City is not a bad thing right now. You look at where Manchester City are, they're absolutely streets ahead of anyone in the Premier League. They are going to win the Premier League. I said at the start of the season, in my build-up to the Premier League series, I said that Manchester United were going to win the league. I've changed that. It's going to be Manchester City. And, if Manchester City don't win it, I think United will, incidentally. But, Manchester City, I'd be shocked if they don't win the Premier League. They are just an absolute machine at the minute. They may even go unbeaten. They are absolutely formidable. But, so the reason to lose to Manchester City wasn't the reason why I was so upset and angry, because there's no shame in losing to Manchester City. And again, as I said in that video, 3-1 is flattering. But what upsets me more is the kind of, we are seeing the same story over and over again. It's the same song being played every time we go to big away games, with a couple of exceptions. The win against Manchester City 2 years ago, beat in Manchester United at Old Trafford in the FA Cup quarter-final, drawing to Chelsea this season away from home. With a couple of exceptions, but more or less when we play away from home, we get absolutely ripped apart, and it's not pleasant to see whatsoever. I mean, we should have lost at least 6-7, 1 on Sunday. We got very, very fortunate. But, with my Analysing Arsenal videos, if you've been watching them continually, you will know that what I say is very honest. And I absolutely love the Analysing Arsenal videos. I really, really do. They are different to any kind of other video that I ever do. For two reasons. Firstly, I love the whole kind of the passion and kind of what goes into me doing them. Because, I watched the game and I'll instantly record the video initially once the game is finished. Maybe a couple of hours, like on Sunday, I watched Manchester United, Chelsea, and then came up to do the Analysing Arsenal video. But I love kind of, because it is so close to actually watching the game, your emotions, your feelings are all over the place. And, they are all kind of, they're so, you've got so many things that you're thinking of. There's so many things that may upset you. There's so many things that you want to talk about, that if you leave it to the next day, what I may have said in that Manchester City video on Sunday, if I had recorded that video again on Monday morning, some of the things that I would have been saying would have been completely different. So, I love it how it is very passionate. It's very honest. I just speak about what I've seen. If we, whether we win, draw, or lose, I'm always very honest. I'm always very open, and I just try to keep it as realistic as possible. The other reason why I absolutely love these videos is because they're the literal definition of the word uncut. If you've been with my channel for now, we've been 7 months down the line, you will know that I take great pride, and I've spoke about this on my podcast series, I've spoke about this multiple times, that I take great pride in editing, and I take great relish in the fact that I always edit my videos to a really, really good standard. I generally believe I always give you guys good content, and I always edit them to kind of the best standard that I deem acceptable, and if I haven't, I don't upload them. You know, it's as simple as that. But with these analysing Arsenal videos, these are the only videos that I don't edit whatsoever. Like this video won't be edited. I literally will record it and upload it straight to YouTube. 2 reasons why I do that. Firstly, because I want to get out in kind of the quickest time possible for once the game's finished. You know, I don't want to spend time editing and then rendering and then having to wait until either, you know, 5, 6, 7 hours after the game is finished, or wait till the next day. I want it to be as current, and I want to be able to get it out the same night of the game. Occasionally, if I've been out, I think there was one episode that I did on the Sunday because I was out Saturday night. But usually I'll always get it out on that same day. The second reason is I don't actually feel that there is need to edit these videos. It's literally me talking to the camera about football, you know, and to be fair, like, I tried when I came up with the idea to do analysing Arsenal, and it came from me doing a rant video that just absolutely exploded on my channel. You know, I said to myself that I want it to feel like I'm sitting at the pub with you guys, you know, with a drink, just talking about football, just like I would do if I saw you on the street, just like I do with my friends when we talk on kind of, you know, Xbox or down the pub. You know, it's the same thing, you know, it's the same feeling. And I could add, you know, images, you know, photos. I could do, you know, images, photos. That's the exact same thing. I mean, images, music. I could edit and add stuff, but I don't actually think it's relevant to these videos. And the support that you guys show on these videos is absolutely brilliant. Like the fact that, you know, we've got a whole, you know, host of brand new people onto the channel that have come straight from analysing Arsenal, which is absolutely amazing. And the support that you show on those videos is just absolutely brilliant. We're on, I think, 89, 90 views on the Man City video alone, which is absolutely crazy, you know, and that support means the absolute world to me. And the feedback that I get from you guys is just fantastic. But anyone that does Arsenal videos, and I've had it myself, and I've seen it when other YouTubers do Arsenal videos, and I speak to other, you know, YouTubers on Twitter and stuff, that there's this recurring theme that Arsenal fans continuously moan, whinge, and whine for, you know, and it's unnecessary. It's not really needed. And what I think people don't understand, and maybe even some Arsenal fans, is that the expectations and the bars that were set from Arsenal Football Club right at the start, we've dipped and fallen so far down from them since then that is where the real frustration and that is the real upset comes from, and where we've seen potential to be even more successful than we already are, and we're not. And as I said in the last video, there's multiple things wrong with the football club at this current moment. But myself, you know, I'm in the minority. You know, a lot of Arsenal fans that are so passionate like me have been with the club for, you know, 20, 30 years. This is my 10th season with Arsenal, and next year, 2018, it will be my 10th year with Arsenal Football Club. And I live and breathe Arsenal. The love I have for Arsenal is... it's just, it's brilliant, you know. I devour Arsenal Football Club. I have so much love and affection for Arsenal Football Club, which is why I get so passionate and so involved with the club. But because I am a young fan, I've never ever seen Arsenal win the Premier League. I've never seen us win the Champions League. You know, I've seen us win 3 FA Cups. You know, my first major trophy that I saw Arsenal win was the FA Cup against Hull in 2014. Special day for me because it's the first time I actually saw Arsenal win a trophy. I've seen us get to one final in the Carling Cup final against Birmingham City, which we ended up losing. But, you know, I've gone back and watched kind of the highlights of the Arsenal teams that won the 3 Premier League titles. I've seen the Invincible season. I've also seen the Champions League final. So, my knowledge of Arsenal Football Club is great, even though I've been with the club for 10 years after all of that success. And that is what I want to explain to you guys, because always in my analysing Arsenal videos, I always say, you know, before the Manchester City game, I said that we were on good form since the Watford game. We were showing character and fight from coming back into games, and we were having a nice run of games under our belt. We weren't playing great at times. You know, the games against Red Star Belgrade were horrible. You know, we got quite fortunate against, you know, Swansea and Norwich in the Carabao Cup. But, you know, there was character shown there. But, you know, I always try and be as honest and open as I can. But what you have to bear in mind is that Arsenal have always been a huge club. Like, Arsenal have been one of the biggest clubs in English football. Like, when you look at kind of the top 3 clubs in England, you've got Manchester United, who are, euphoric. They are the best team in England, the most successful team in England, the biggest club in England, and maybe even one of the biggest clubs in the world. They've got the most Premier League titles. They've won so much over their history, and they are the biggest club in English football. I say that it's Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool haven't won the league for 25 years, but when you look at kind of how many Champions League trophies they won, and like in the 80s, Liverpool were kind of the Manchester United of the noughties. They used to win absolutely everything. They've got 18 league titles to their name, and they were a force. Like, the support and the fan base of Liverpool Football Club, and how successful they were in the 80s and the 90s. They are the second biggest club. And then it's Arsenal. We have the most FA Cups. We've won 13, league titles. And, we've always been a big club. We've never, ever been relegated. Right now, we're not... I'd say we're not a big club. You've had Chelsea in the last 10 years bringing in Roman Abramovich, and they've won so much. And then you've got Manchester City, who've been, supported by a country that is giving them just countless amounts of money to spend to bring in the best players, and they are now a big club. So right now, I'd say, Chelsea, Man City, Man United are bigger than Arsenal, and then it's, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, at this present moment. But as I said, Spurs are better than us, Liverpool better than us at the minute. So, but if we're taking it in terms of history and context and all that, you've got Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal as the 3, biggest clubs in England. So we've always been a big club, and this is where Arsene Wenger comes into it, because, in the 90s, Arsenal were successful, but they weren't amazing. George Graham gave Arsenal, many, many good years, but they were always, there and thereabouts. They never really challenged, fully. You got Anfield 89, and then we didn't actually win the league again till 97. So, we had that kind of small period where we weren't winning the big trophies. Arsene Wenger comes to Arsenal Football Club, and what he does in that first 8 years is, the likes of which you will rarely see again. Like, he was an absolute monster coming to Arsenal. Not just the trophies that he won, he won 3 Premier League titles, 6 FA Cups in his first 8 years. Absolutely incredible. The players that he brought in, Emmanuel Petit, Patrick Vieira. He had a fantastic squad already at him, but, bringing in Thierry Henry and kind of nurturing him into becoming the greatest striker the Premier League has ever seen, in my opinion. I really think Thierry Henry is the greatest player to ever grace the Premier League, and that is saying something. I think on his day, in his prime, he was probably on par with Cristiano Ronaldo, when Alan Shearer was on his prime, when Ruud van Nistelrooy was on his prime. He was up there, and he was in that elite calibre of players. You got Overmars, Lundberg, Parler, Keown. You had a team that were warriors, that were fighters, that were nasty players, technical players, brilliant players, pace, power, strength. And the fact is that they were competing in Sir Alex Ferguson's golden era. That Manchester United team was probably one of the best Manchester United teams ever seen in the Premier League. And Arsenal came in, and Arsene Wenger dismantled that Manchester United team. Absolutely dismantled them. And it wasn't just what he was doing on the field, off the field, what he was doing. The fact that he was, bringing a brand new style. Football in England was seen in a different way, the way that Arsene Wenger was playing. He changed the dietary, excess of what players were eating, their dietary requirements. He was changing the way that players trained. The science and exercise regimes that players took on were completely different. And he revolutionised English football. And what he did in that first 8 years was absolutely incredible. Giving us the Invincibles, giving us those double winning teams. And no one will ever take that away from him. And what he did then in the next kind of, 7 years was also incredible. He oversaw the transition from Highbury to the Emirates, and he did an amazing job in how he managed to do that. Because, in the modern game, even though people prefer Highbury to the Emirates, you wouldn't have been able to survive in the modern climate with Highbury. You had to oversee, you had to go to a new stadium. And the Emirates, I've been to the Emirates multiple times, and it is a beautiful stadium. It's probably one of the best stadiums in the country. It really, really is. It's an absolutely majestic stadium. And what Arsene Wenger did was brilliant. He oversaw the move to that. and we had to pay off a debt, a ghastly debt, if you have to say. But not only that, Arsene Wenger kept us from 2006 to 2013 when we were paying off the debt. He kept us in the top 4, keeping us consecutive qualifying for the Champions League. And that is an incredible achievement. I know we're not in the Champions League now, but the fact is that he didn't have proper money to spend. The fact is that he kept us in the top 4, kept us competitive, despite not having the resources to really go and keep up with Manchester United, Chelsea. And if you remember at that time, Manchester United and Chelsea on the other side, Roman Abramovich came in with Jose Mourinho. They had about £1 billion to spend every transfer window, bringing in, just insane players. Manchester United had Cristiano Ronaldo coming into the club, Tevez, Giggs, Scholes, it was an insane Manchester United team, and they were able to spend, about £1 million every single transfer window. And Arsenal were never ever going to compete with Manchester United, Chelsea in that era. Probably where the downfall began, and the two major criticisms in that period, because in the first 8 years you can't criticise Wenger at all. He was absolutely remarkable. In the next kind of 7 years of his reign at Arsenal Football Club, you could look at it and say that the money that he did have, because we did have money to spend. We brought in the likes of, Cesc Fabregas, Alexandre Somme, Arshavin, Jovino. This is when we had Van Persie, who came up as a youth player. We did have money to spend, but the type of player that Arsene Wenger was buying, he could have bought better with the resources that he had. He kept buying technical players, and we've seen it now in the Premier League. To win the Premier League title and to really go and win the Champions League, you need to have a balance of technical players and nasty players. You need that CDM, like a Vieira, like a Kante, like a Makelele at Chelsea. Like at Manchester United, you had Rio Ferdinand and Manu Vidic. You need nasty defenders that are going to protect your back 4, that if there's a fight, they will have a fight. Leaders, warriors that are, if things aren't going their way, they're going to stand up and say, right, you fix up, or you're not right to wear the the shirt and wear the badge. And Arsenal, I say, since the Invincibles, have never really had that team. We've had too many technical players. Now, I believe that Arsene Wenger strived away from kind of the ruthlessness and warrior teams that he had in his first 8 years because of what Barcelona were doing in Spain. And it was around that time where, you had Pep Guardiola, you had Barcelona, who I still regard as probably the best club ever to grace club football. Like, that Barcelona team was outstanding. They were ripping apart every single team in their wake. They were just absolutely incredible. You had Messi, Neymar, Sanchez, Xavi, Iniesta, and they had all technical players. Now, they're an exception to the rule because that's not normal. You don't win, big trophies and the Champions League by just having technical players. Whether Arsene Wenger, after the Champions League final, saw how Barcelona were playing and thought he could replicate that, I'm not sure. But I don't actually think that was the right way to go about it. And I think he got lost in trying to replicate Barcelona's success when actually he needed to stick with what he knew. And he's never ever gone back with that. That's the first problem. The second problem is selling your best players to title rivals. I don't understand, Yes, we were paying off a debt, but I've heard numerous stories that we did not have to sell our best players. We shipped out Nasri, Gallas, Song, in 2-3 years to Manchester City, got rid of Adebayor, gave him to Manchester City, made them stronger. The most, I'd say, the worst thing he did in that era was selling Robin Van Persie. Now, this is your club captain. This is a player who got you 30 goals the season just before he left. Yes, he might have wanted to go and win the Premier League, but you don't sell him. If you have to sell him, if he's not happy, you send him to, a European team like a Barcelona, PSG. Arsene Wenger did the deal with Sir Alex Ferguson on the phone and literally handed Van Persie over to Manchester United, and they won the league because of Robin Van Persie in Sir Alex Ferguson's final year. Without his goals, they wouldn't have won the Premier League title. They had an aging squad, a squad that was reaching the end of its cycle. They got Robin Van Persie in and they stormed the Premier League. To this day, I still don't know why he sold Robin Van Persie to Manchester United. I really, really don't. But then, you get to a point, you get to 2013, the final game of the 2013 season. I remember it like it was yesterday. We played Newcastle. We had to win to get into the Champions League. We had Spurs, we had Gareth Bale, and they were closing on Champions League football. Lancashire only gets a goal, we get the 1-0 win, we book our place into the Champions League knockout stages for the following season, although we had to go through the qualification, and we actually managed to do that. But what I found very, very kind of a pivotal moment for Arsenal Football Club is that we knew we'd paid off the debt. We'd paid off the debt to the Emirates. So we then started to have the money and the funds that we could compete with the big boys, with the Chelseas, with the Manchester Cities, Manchester Uniteds. And there was a sign and a feeling that we were going to start motoring. We were going to start motoring. And had Arsene Wenger won the Premier League in the last 4 seasons, he wouldn't be here at Arsenal Football Club. He would have gone out a winner. And that would have been probably the greatest managerial story ever told. You know, to have it and lose it and get it back again is incredible. The fact that he didn't have the funds to compete with the big boys. Yes, you could argue the 2 mistakes that he made in that 7-year spell. But if he'd started to ascend, bring in top players, spend a bit of money and actually go on and win the Premier League title, it would have been a fabulous story. And what a great way to end kind of probably the greatest manager that is ever going to grace Arsenal Football Club. And there were signs. We brought in Mesut Ozil for 42 million. We brought in Alexis Sanchez. The excitement, the hype was there. But this is when things just start becoming the same song. And as I said at the start of this video, I've only been Wenger out for the last 3 years. In 2013, 14, 14, 15, I wasn't Wenger out, you know. It was the first real time I'd really seen Arsenal be in a title race in the 13-14 season, when Jose Mourinho returned to Chelsea, when Manuel Pellegrini came to Manchester City, when Liverpool was seconds away from winning the Premier League title. And we were in it to around about March. The biggest problem that season is against the big boys away from home. We were getting absolutely ripped apart, you know. The fact is that we had Arteta and Wilshere in midfield, and it just wasn't working. We didn't have that kind of, that Kante, you know, that player that is going to protect the back four. We didn't have a world-class goalkeeper. You know, we had Podolski, Giroud, you know, Oxlade-Chamberlain, players that aren't going to win you the Premier League title, that are going to do great for a couple of months, you know, give you a little bit of hope to win the Premier League title, and then you're going to fall away. And at this point, the frustration started to lie. You know, I remember going up to Liverpool, losing 5-1, Chelsea 6-0, Manchester City 6-3, and it was just the same story over and over again. We ended up finishing 4th that season, and we lacked the character, the fight, the spirit, and, you know, the technical side of the game that you need to enable you to win the Premier League. The 14-15 season, Jose Mourinho and Chelsea just ran away with the league. We weren't really in it. There was a brief spell in January where we looked like we were going to win it. This is when we went to Manchester City and actually put in a top away performance, and people were saying, this is the turning point. This is when things are going to change. Arsene Wenger has shown that he can go to an away game, respect the opposition, which he never done countless times. He used to just play the same way over and over again. And against the big boys, they're going to eat you alive. He went to Manchester City with a plan, executed the plan superbly. We got a 2-0 win, and it felt like a turning point. And it's always, with Arsenal, you always feel like you're on eggshells, and you always feel like that every single moment, you know, you feel like this is it, we're going to win the league, we're going to win the Premier League, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then it just peters and falls away. But then, 2015-2016 season is when I really became Wenger out, because, you know, Leicester is a freak. You know, what they did that season was absolutely incredible, and it shows that you don't have to spend ridiculous amounts of money to win you the Premier League. But all of the big boys weren't at it. That was our golden opportunity to win the Premier League. We should have won the Premier League. How we didn't win the Premier League that season, we ended up finishing 2nd, but we only snatched that on the last day, and it was frustrating. It was the most frustrating thing ever, because this was our golden opportunity. You know, Chelsea were down in the relegation zone. Manchester United, City had their problems. Liverpool had their problems. You know, it was us and Spurs for the taking, really. And Spurs fell away right at the end. You know, how we allowed Leicester to go ahead of us and win the league. You know, once we were at a position when we were out of it, I wanted Leicester to win it 100%. But I was sitting there watching Leicester win the title, thinking this should have been us. We wouldn't have had a better chance. You know, we brought in Petr Cech, a great acquisition, and people said that he was going to bring us, you know, 10, 12 extra points a season, and he didn't. He didn't. He's been a great goalkeeper, he's a world-class goalkeeper, but he isn't the same Petr Cech, and we didn't buy one outfield player in that transfer window. You know, we were close. We should have got Higuain, we should have got Lacazette, We needed a world-class striker. We needed a world-class midfielder. We needed a better centre-back. And we were there. And we would have seriously challenged even further, you know. And I was just like, it's the same thing every single year. We have, you know, a great spell, a couple of games where we look like we're going to win it, we look like we're going to challenge, and then it's the same thing. We just get rolled over come January, February, March. And it is the same story every single season. And it is so frustrating. Like, last season was awful. You know, we got ripped apart against so many big clubs. You know, we started losing, you know, stupid games. And, you know, we have a board that can't really want to challenge. You know, they said that we're overachieving, that we're in a great position, but we're not. We're not. We are the same bottle jobs that we always are. You know, we have a brief moment of showing potential that things are going to be different this year, and we fall away. And then, you know, we have a great spell. Once the pressure's off, we turn it on and we do absolutely amazing football. And we're nowhere near good enough. You know, we're in the Europa League. We missed out on the Champions League last season completely. We're going to have to win the Europa League if we have any sort of chance of getting into the top four. And it's the same story. If we'll win a couple of games, everyone will be happy. And then we'll lose one. And all the hostility, all of the toxic atmosphere will return to the Emirates. And it is the same thing over and over again. And you know what you're getting as an Arsenal fan. And that is what is the most frustrating part. Because there's potential there. You know, Arsenal have the chance to become a great club. And we've always had the potential to do something which, you know, motor and actually challenge year after year. You know, as I said before in the Manchester City video, we're not asking to, you know, win the Premier League, win the Champions League every single year. We want just to see a bit more fight, a bit more determination, and to realistically, you know, we want to be in a position, and I've never been in this position as an Arsenal fan, where, you know, come April with 5 games to go, we're still in the running. We're always out of it by February, you know, March at the latest. And for Arsenal Football Club, it's not good enough. It really isn't good enough. And when you look at, you know, Arsene Wenger was great in his first 8 years. What he did in the second spell, having not many resources, not being able to spend the money and compete with the big boys. And then after he paid off the debt, having the chance to motor this team and take it to a title winning side, and he's failed to do that. And he's stayed well past his welcome. We need to get rid of the ball. But as I said, there's no point whinging, moaning and complaining about it, because Arsene Wenger's not going to go anywhere. If he was, he should have gone after the FA Cup final in 2014 against Hull. He should have left last season. He would have walked out with you know, he would have gone out with a guard of honour, you know, beating Chelsea in the FA Cup, and that was his time. And I think if he believes he can win the title with this current squad without adding 4 or 5 major players, then he's kidding himself. And I'm sorry, this is not the same Arsene Wenger that came into Arsenal, you know, 21 years ago, a winner, a leader, you know, a monster, a machine. It's not the same Arsene Wenger. And when you hear with the amount of players that we could have said, we could have got Kante, Ronaldo, Messi, Suarez. I don't want to hear that, because in the transfer window, we don't get these big players. We always fall down every single season. We're allowing players to run to the end of their contracts. And it's a shambles. It's an absolute shambles, you know, from, you know, first minute to last. And over these last couple of years, we've only got worse and worse and worse. Now, I see a glimmer of hope. I really do see a glimmer of hope. I think at the end of this season, Arsene Wenger should walk away. He said that he's going to, you know, review his situation at the end of the season. We need a change. We need to bring in 5 or 6 world-class players. Because the problem we got is that if Arsene Wenger stays, you don't want to get to a situation where he is starting to ruin the legacy that he has. I don't want that. I want him to go out where we can say thank you for the memories and thank you for everything that you've done for Arsenal Football Club. But Arsenal are not a big club at this stage, and this is my final point. Would Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City allow managers to have the same amount of time that Arsene Wenger has been allowed? You let me know. Let me know. I kind of wanted today, and I've spoken for half an hour on this, and I could spend another 2-3 hours talking about it. But my main point is that, guys, us as Arsenal fans, yes, we do whinge, we moan, we whine, we see frustration. But think of that. I've told you the story. If you're an Arsenal fan or not an Arsenal fan, let me know down in the comment section below if you agree with what I've said, because I feel like I've said it the way that I see it. You know, I started supporting the club in 2008. I gave Wenger 6-7 years. I understood, in the second spell, and the 7 years of him paying off the debt that we weren't going to compete. But he had the chance to go out a winner, to accelerate, buy top world-class players, and go out a champion, and he's failed to do that. And now we're further away than we were. We're in a worse position where with the team that we've got now, which is far superior to the team where we had Shamat, Jovino, Arshavin. And that is embarrassing. That is absolutely embarrassing. I don't know what's going to happen in the North London derby. It's a game that we have to win. It's a must-win game. And the emotions and the levels that we're going to see in this North London derby, it's going to be a fiery day. But that is when I'm going to join you again for analysing Arsenal back for the North London derby as well. But that is the reason why Arsenal, to Arsenal's downfall, and that is the reason why, we need a change. We need the ball to go. We need a new manager. We need 5 or 6 world-class players. That's the solution. But is the solution going to be resolved anytime soon? I don't think so. I really don't think so. That could be the end of the video for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I've got lots of great stuff coming your way, so stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel if you're new around here. Be sure to turn on my notifications as well. Please make sure to leave a like as well. And until next time, I will speak to you later. And yeah, those are my reasons to Arsenal's downfall. And as the song says, things can only get better for now. Take care, and I shall see you all very, very soon. See you all later.